Picks and bans for the fans here. Game number 5, the final one. Space Station still with the first selection. Trifecta going to go for number 2.
You know, the pun might not have paid off too well, but you could always consider being a rap god.
You like that one?
See, you brought it back.
There it is.
Bringing it back, piece by piece.
Got to look alive for game number 5. That's what I say here while we sit on the desk. SSG going right back to banning the King Arthur. Freya will be the ban here from Trifecta, and I got to agree with that one. I think that is the right look. Freya, again, I think the casters kind of highlighted it really interestingly. Freya in the early parts of the set wasn't really too much of a factor, but that had a lot to do with the other variables. Now in this last one, quite literally, she brings the victory to Space Station Gaming. That's why we're here at the rubber match of game number 5, so ban the Valkyrie out. First selection over to Space Station.
And it's actually going to be the Xbalanque, so that Darkest Night. Trifecta still unwilling to allow Space Station that little bit of map control that Xbalanque can bring. But with NuWa finally being open for the first time ever, I think Space Station are a little conflicted right now, trying to make a decision here. But it's going to be Serqet, no Ratatoskr, no Bacchus or Xbalanque or any of that nonsense. It's just the Serqet.
So I gotta say, Ratatoskr and Bellona are still in the forefront of my mind, and I would like to see those locked in by Trifecta. But the Serqet selection here is interesting because, and Ryan said this, I think, in game number 2, maybe game number 3, give Andy the tool. Just let Andy try and win the game. And yes, we saw BaRRA come through and finish it off in the late game in that last one, and I think there's a lot of other moving pieces. But at the end of the day, for Space Station to have a good game, they need andinster to have a good game. Serqet is going to allow him to do that potentially.
Andy has proven, I think, time and time again that when he is on a god he is comfortable with, he will perform. And seeing that Bellona already being toyed with as a possibility, I think that this was just a smart collection choice from Trifecta.
And this demands, early on, Puch selection, this demands us talk about Ducky. Ducky has been, and I'll put myself out there, Ducky, for my money, in a lot of his pro career, has not been the performer that I want him to be, that his team needs him to be, or that people have said him to be. You ask a number of pros behind the scenes, and they'll say, listen, Ducky frags, but I just haven't seen it on the pro level here in Season 6, in this week. We're watching him go 5-0-5, 6-1, just fantastic performance this set. Enable the hot hand.
Ducky was doing everything he could, even on the Achilles last game, to try and salvage a lot of those engagements. And sometimes it ended up working out, but over time it just proved to be more and more difficult for an Achilles to have that same success rate at diving the backline while also watching his entire team get collapsed on and killed. But with the Bellona, I love the thought process behind this. You've got an Eagles rally that's easy setup for the Puch. It gives, I think, a decent spacing control as well for Trifecta underneath objectives. But the Space Station responds to the Terra, and I love seeing Terra because Terra is hell for Puch.
Well, hell's a mage.
She is, but right now it's about Terra collapsing the Puch, and Puch is not going to be able to do anything with the Terra's blessing being in effect.
Oh, God. Don't put the camera on Taco. She's giving me the death glare. NuWa is an interesting choice. Now, NuWa can just get out of jail. Now, when you look at the Puch ultimate, is that why we see NuWa here to respond to Puch by just jettisoning to the sky?
Well, that, and also I think NuWa is going to have a little bit. I think it's relevant for the Bellona, it's relevant for the Ratatoskr.
Sure.
I do kind of wish that we could have had a chance to see Space Station take Ratatoskr and Terra here. I would have loved to have seen Aquarius on a Ratatoskr solo. I think that Rata is also such an effective tool for punishing Puch, or at least forcing him into having to be incredibly passive with his positioning, as opposed to, I think, more towards the norm where Puch can kind of be a little bit more pushed up at times, just because of how much damage he deals.
I agree. Not convinced this Terra's going to JeffHindla. I would have liked to see a Sylvanas ban after how strong Sylvanas looked. Not just in the last game, but Jeff has repeatedly made Sylvanas look very strong. NuWa will be banned here by Space Station, as Ratatoskr has a little bit of flex. And of course, Eonic, one of the original NuWa supports, so certainly something to ban out there. Trifecta on the option.
Eonic could also take Sylvanas for himself. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
I think that it's also got decent setup and interrupt, but the Hachiman instead for Wowy, I think is just a safe choice here, and probably because Trifecta aren't fully decided for as to how much hard crowd control they need. Perhaps they could also even look for some of the more aggressive support options, maybe even a possible flex pick here for Trifecta.
Well, the Fenrir are going to come through here for SSG. Fenrir support had a little bit of a chunk taken out of him, but I think still available. That said, Fenrir solo, certainly very, very effective. And when I think about SSG, and a lot of what I've been preaching here has been Aquarius should be given the keys to the car. Fenrir is absolutely a character that can both carry and set up. I like SSG's comp. I don't love it. I am cautiously optimistic about the NuWa.
See, but I love Trifecta's composition. I think that this Geb just rounds it all out so beautifully because it introduces not only the peel, well, there's the fact that he can turn into the globe, but it's not just the fact that, you know, he's clearly about the planet, but I just love the amount of peel that Geb's going to be able to introduce. Cataclysm as well is going to cause a lot of problems, I think, for this Muzen Cobb. Mobility was already questionable between Space Station's mid and ADC, so now to have the Geb to challenge that even further could cause some openings for you know, Bellona and maybe even this Ratatoskr.
A lot of things have lined up here for Trifecta. Sometimes when the stars are aligned, you got to plan it out. So Geb's going to be the last choice. We'll get into game 5 before Taco hits me. 2-2. Let's talk to Kanan.
Kill me. Kill me.
Awful.
Kill me.
Just so bad.
Please
Not
don't
even
do
a
that.
good effort.
That was awful.
Like, I know it's game 5, guys. but like,
That hurt a lot. I will agree with what Taco said about the Geb pick, though. That Geb last pick
Definitely.
for Trifecta may have just changed this whole composition and dynamic of this set.
I agree. I think that this is the perfect pick for Eonic here. I'm curious on where this Fenrir is going, though. If it's going solo, I think I really like it. And it is. Okay, I like this pick a lot. This could be an opportunity. Remember, the new Fenrir changes. He now brutalized just cleaves all the time. It just does it.
Yeah.
For free. Now it's just more damage whenever you get your all 5 runes.
It
So
really
Aquarius-
felt that's what Fenrir was lacking.
Well, he kind of was. You know? He kind of was. At
Assassin
full
without
runes-
wave clear? Is it even an assassin?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know what assassin that doesn't have wave clear anymore.
Listen, just because Pon wanted to be able to brutalize the camps easier doesn't mean we should roast him for it.
It's rough,
I get it.
as a dog would say.
Like Fenrir would say.
The last pick, Geb, is the perfect situation for Trifecta now. Eonic, we've mentioned it, funny enough, in Game 4 about his gameplays previously.
Yeah.
But against this composition, it kind of nullifies a hell of a lot of what Space Station want to do this game.
It's great at saving those low health targets that NuWa feels like she should be able to finish easily. You can cleanse the Ragnarok. You can shield out that andinster damage and combo. I love it here. It does concede lane pressure pretty heavily, but that's okay.
You weren't going to have lane pressure against an AMC anyway, right? Like, there wasn't
Probably
much
not.
you were going to really have there in the grand scheme of things. It's more about where these picks come from Space Station Gaming and how Andy can get off this game, I think, more than anything else.
I'm curious about this NuWa pick, Graham. I mean, this was second pick for Space Station. They pick it really, really early on this game.
And I could have understood it if it was the enemy team that had the Serqet, right? Like, but it wasn't. Wowy
Sure.
has to get a shell help from Eonic there. No beads consumed by Wowy. Andinster is in a rotation to this left-hand side at the same sort of time. And that was really Space Station Gaming hitting level 2, just a hair quicker than their opposition, which has now opened up a bit more of a window for exploitation.
And Andy strips away purple, so they're going to stay low level even longer. This is good use of that AMC pressure for sure by Space Station. You absolutely zone here. This is the right call. I mean, no beads for Wowy, no shell for Eonic, only level 1 still. Don't let them hit level 2.
And it's also the fact that they didn't know where Andinster was, and they could have been on the left-hand side just hiding away, so made it a bit more awkward for them to overextend.
I do think they knew once Eonic went and checked purple, the fact that it's down means that Andinster was already there and is probably left, but you're right, he could still be lurking in that
And he
situation.
still is. Look at him back at it again. Andy, with the blink available, going to look and rotate in. The pick is going to be on Eonic here because they know Wowy still has his beads available. So go for the Geb at level 2. Well, I don't even think turning into the planet would have saved you there.
No, I don't think so either. Not using the option. Yeah, even shielded Wowy before he fell. The true support mentality where he needs the shield himself and goes, no.
This won't save me.
Stay
Save
healthy.
yourself.
Wowy's like, yo, you good?
He's under a tier 1, just chilling, like, I'm not even taking damage. It's okay. The shield will be off before I get poked out.
Support instincts, man. You can't stop him sometimes.
It's just because you know you're dead. Like, sometimes it's just not even worth trying to shield yourself. Well, when he needs that shield again, he got some of it, and it helped him survive. But the bees still cause problems. Jeff nearly landed the wall there. It's just that 1 kill so far, but it did go to andinster, and that's what you want. The Serqet off to a good start.
Exactly. Let Andy get off to a good start. I talked about it a lot in Game 1, and since then as well. He is the driving factor for this team when they're hot.
But we said it in Game 1, and it really is Spacestation Gaming in terms of, like, they wave so often. They're all over the place. Sometimes they're on board, and they're connected, and they have a game plan in mind, and they commit, and it works out perfectly. Other times, they seem to get a little bit lost about what the next plan's going to be.
It happens, and it happens mid-game sometimes to them, so you really can't assume that they're in a perfect position at any given time, but certainly a good start. Venenu's been able to hit level 5 without any pressure. He's been safe.
And I want to come back to that Venenu thing now, is the fact that you brought up the NuWa mid. We talked a tiny bit about it, but then we got some pressure in that duo lane. Why? What's it going to bring?
Safety. Doesn't have to worry as much about getting dunked by Ratatoskr. If he gets a lead, you can basically just walk at Lasbra with the threat of rooting him, and Lasbra has to respect it. That's what NuWa brings, is safety and a root. Other than that, it's really, really good late game. I'm just surprised they picked it so early. I don't think there's a universe where Trifecta bans it. Space Stations really seem to want to wait on these other selections. They wanted to wait on the AMC, that's a vulnerable pick. They want to wait on the Fenrir to try and not get counterpicked there.
So maybe picking the NuWa there is such a safe pick, right? You're guaranteed safety, so it's not doom and gloom to pick it at that point to allow you to pick things later on?
Exactly. It's delaying your more important picks until later, where when Ven's probably forced to say, hey, we need you to pick a mid laner here, and he has no idea what he's going up against, NuWa's going to be safe enough where he doesn't feel like he could find himself in serious trouble.
We'll see what we can do with this. The one thing that people always underestimate is how powerful the fog can be, though. Not just because it's easy, free, distant wave clear that goes on forever, but you can get sneaky with the stealth and can cause a couple of problems if SSG so choose. At the moment, they're choosing to contest these left-hand Harpies and the Oracles, which look like they should go Space Station's way.
They will, and that's to be expected. Ducky on this right-hand side gets comboed, but andinster's the one on the receiving end of all the damage. Ducky will fall, and that actually spread the poison towards Weaken, but Eonic here means that Aqua going to give up that chase. Good idea, but man, Andy just took way too much damage.
Aquarius going to go in on Weaken, but Eonic was there with a shield. He's only level 4, but he's doing enough to cause Aquarius problems. Weaken's still alive, and Aquarius is going to fall down. It was an auto-attack battle that even the Rock was involved in.
I guess maybe he didn't see Eonic coming, because there's no ward there.
No, he didn't.
And
as soon as the shield hits, you're like, well, that's me.
Yeah, that's unlucky. You hate to see it.
That's a why support over here? It's one of those things, right? That you would immediately say, what's support doing over here? Well, it's mainly because the dual lane is going to be like this for the majority of the time now. Both Hachiman and AMC, they can both clear the wave they want to, but just farming up now. All about farm.
And, I mean, look at how much damage Eonic did to that Totem of Ku. I mean, he really smacked that thing up.
That's right. That's what Geb can do. Respect the Rock.
Rock on rock damage,
and his damage.
Boom.
You got it. See, he was last hit too.
Big secure coming out of Eonic there. That's what you like to see.
Wow, roasting Eonic over getting a Totem of Ku. Is that what it's about now?
Yeah, yep, that's what I was doing.
At least he got one objective then.
That's true.
First one in a minute. AMC this game, so far, he's gone for the Mage's Blessing. So that's for, I guess, the cooldown and the ability damage. Is that what it's there for,
Yeah,
too?
exactly. You just can apply it so easily with both the honey and the bee swarm that it's really easy to apply it consistently. And he also uses a lot of mana, right? So getting that MP5 is nice for him.
It's funny enough because, like, I've been around a long time in Smite, but you don't know every single ability and every single interaction. I did not know that if you drop honey and then put down a beehive, the bees will go to the honey still.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was the case. That's crazy. That blew my mind. Such a small, stupid thing, but I was just like, whoa, no way. Did not know it.
Yeah, there's lots of ways. I mean, you could also, like, just basically use your 3, barely touch it with the 2. That'll activate the bees throughout the whole honey thing.
Because you can 2 onto the honey.
Yeah.
Ah.
You can even 2 first, and then during the travel time, lay down the honey, and it'll spread.
Oh. So sort of a Agni-esque combo. Talk about combo. Weaken getting comboed almost by andinster there. The blink in was good, but the escape was even better. Blue buff does end up going down, however.
Also, for what it's worth, Fenrir, if you normally you can't really focus anybody but the Geb from this position, right? Because now he's just going to cleanse whoever else you land on, makes it a lot worse. But you can set up NuWa combos.
Two
really
fights
easily.
at the same time. Weekend and Eonic getting aggressive in the jungle, but andinster was well aware of the situation there. Didn't end up finding anything with that Cataclysm that came through from Eonic. Oh, and actually, to lie, it wasn't a Cataclysm at all.
No, it was just a knock-up from Weekend that was there, and again, didn't really find anything for it. But yeah, like I was saying, you could really set up those Fenrir combos very, very easily. You just bring them right to the NuWa, guarantee that prot shred from the minions dashing in, and then you can blow up Eonic pretty easily, even through the mid game. So I think that normally Eonic's going to be looking to shield whoever this Fenrir is going on. He needs to be very wary of if he's going to be the target.
There will be a window eventually, though, where it becomes too difficult to kill the Geb. And that's the window that Spacestation Gaming have to time if they want to pressure the Geb early. Through the first, like, 10 levels, sure, but 11, round 11 is where you'll get enough itemization online as a support, where the damage will be nullified, and you're like, okay, I lived, you wasted everything on me, and now my team can turn this around.
And it makes it harder to find that window with Fenrir in the solo lane as opposed to the jungle or duo lane, like a lot of times we've seen this character play. So maybe they won't even have that opportunity to find that window. It's a matter of how early Aquarius wants to start rotating.
We're at level 9. Gone for a Winged Blade is his next option, interestingly enough. I was wondering if he was going to go for a Transcendence or what sort of build we'll see coming out here, but the Winged Blade is one of the most interesting ones I've seen. There's not a hell of a lot of slows on Trifecta right now, right?
It's really the mounted archery that you're worried about, and the shield bash from Ducky. And
the eventual
slows
gem
from
of isolation
Lasbra.
from Lasbra, right?
Right, but yeah, I don't know how much I love it.
Kisses from Andy towards Weekend, but Eonic's there with the shield straight away. With the jumper not available, Andy's going to be a bit careful here. Ends up going 1 for 1 though, with the camps, and it was actually buying time for Jeff to rotate around the back. He can't find the walls onto Eonic though to find the combo for setup of damage, but it's still Space Station marching into Trifecta's jungle.
And he's still lurking, and now they know Eonic's on the left-hand side, so they've got an opportunity to play aggressive. Straight onto Weekend he goes.
Got him.
He's got the last breath, but I don't think that's enough. Weekend should be safe.
Yeah, if he would have got the last auto attack off, I think it would have been enough damage, but it won't be at the same time. Red buff was secured just about by Wowy on the left-hand side with the support, I believe, of Eonic. But Jeff still, sorry, BaRRaCCuDDa still getting aggressive on the SAMC on the left-hand side, realizing all the action was taking place on the right.
Yeah, this Winged Blade, going back to it, I mean, there are some slows on Trifecta for sure, but I think BaRRa is just really relying on his base damage in the early game, and he wants to be able to move around and get to red buffs and purple buffs pretty easily. And he knows that Wowy's power spike isn't going to be that impressive either by going for an Aussie rush. So he's got time to just kind of relax in this lane and just use that movement speed to make sure he doesn't die, and then he can build Transcendence in this spot and end up getting a lot of power really quickly.
We've discussed the fact that Assi in the early game doesn't have a lot of power on it anyway, and if all the hunters are starting to transition away from the Assi starts, or sorry, towards the Assi starts and away from the power building of Devour's Goals or Transcendence, then going for a utility item this stage isn't going to be as a bigger swing. I mean, looking at Wowy now, it looks like he's going for the Assi route, so in terms of power, it's not that much either.
Yeah, but you still hit really hard with Aussie again because of the flat pen that it provides.
Yeah.
So
listen, I'm still going to complain about no power on it.
But it's flat pen is worth more. Power is a near useless stat in most instances. You really need flat pen to make it worth anything at all.
Ryan, for like 2 years, you've been complaining about people not buying power items.
No, I complain about not buying pen. That's what I complain about.
Just can't win with you.
No, just buy pen and you win.
Okay.
It's pretty easy. Or anti-heal. I really hate when people
Oh,
don't
here
buy
we go
anti-heal.
again. There's another thing that's not no pet, no MP5. There's always something wrong.
That's what's fun about a MOBA, man. I get to complain no matter what.
I still don't know how they pay me for doing it. I'm so excited. Gold Fury has been pulled by Trifecta. It's 2-2 on the scores right now. Space Station with an ever so slight lead in gold. Experience relatively even. But this Gold Fury could open things up. Venenu gets a big time stun on Eonic, who just looked at him funny. I don't know what he was doing there with that amount of health. And disrespectful, gets punished for it.
And didn't even shield himself, I don't think, in time. I mean, that is... NuWa looks really good when you let her do stuff like that, I suppose, and Venenu makes him pay really quickly.
Now Jeff even getting aggressive, trying to wrap around the back of Lasbra and weaken. With BaRRaCCuDDa being in the mid lane, though, the push power's here with clay minions, don't forget. That's one thing that she will bring. These clay minions allowing to backdoor towers.
Just get you in there a little bit earlier. That's Lasbra's empty the crypts, but that's a win for Space Station. Now might be the time to go for gold after that. You know that Eonic's coming back off respawn, so he's a little bit further away.
A lot of wards here. Trifecta know what's going on. The tier 1 tower's under siege from minions. Eonic on the way back. Lasbra and Weaken too. Weaken mid lane, waiting for the right opportunity. Goes to the sky with the ultimate. Shield came out from Eonic onto Wowy there to prevent some of the NuWa damage. As it's andinster, there's a little bit far forward, and he's killed by Weaken.
Just a little bit late on that Earth and Fury for JeffHindla. Now Trifecta just waltz right in and get themselves a free Gold Fury.
This is the classic Space Station Gaming collapse I just saw there, where everyone got discombobulated for no reason, and the next minute they lose the Gold Fury and a life.
Man, that's tough. There's the Geb pick coming into play, though. I mean, as much as Eonic really ints on Gold Fury before that, his shield onto Wowy keeps him alive from that position. As Ducky is dead to Aqua in the solo lane. That's a good sign.
I think Aquarius just had enough of that boring matchup of Achilles versus Bellona. He's like, oh, listen, give me kill potential. Talking about kill potential, Venenu might have it here. Go claim minion, go. Fog to speed him up and get in range, but the blink that was touching. That was on him. That's hacks. Something's wrong there. That's some BS.
That was close. He getting away by the short hairs on his head.
Does his tail not take damage? Is that what I just saw?
No, I don't know. That was close. It was close.
Too close. But not close enough, quite clearly. I can't believe he got away from that. I'm really shocked. Left-hand side, though, red buff spawning. Spacestation Gaming looking to invade that again. Lasbra has his ultimate back up, but he can't really go in there alone, knowing that JeffHindla was lurking there too. Spacestation Gaming have held the position they're in after Trifecta kind of caused them a couple of problems just recently.
Trifecta stealing away that gold is such a huge deal, though. Yeah. I mean, for them to get it
really
even this game up pretty quickly. Ducky still needs to be careful, though, in this lane. I mean, Aqua's got himself a pretty good lead now.
But it was a bit of a bait because Weaken was over here and Eonic too. Shield out prevents a lot of the damage from the NuWa as well as the carry from Aquarius. The Thorns will not buy him too much time. They're not going to be too scared of whacking away on him for now. As under the tower goes Weaken with the dash to pick up the kill, and the Cataclysm after the fact stops Andy from getting any sort of return poke off.
Aqua doesn't run towards JeffHindla in that spot, but I think it's because Lasbra was coming from the same angle. Don't know that he knew that that was happening, though. Would like to see Aqua try and run towards the team a little bit more. Maybe Jeff could have helped him out a little bit, but you're right. Good bait by Ducky in the end actually ends up costing Aqua.
There is just a slight growth for Space Station Gaming, though, in terms of experience as this game's going on here, though. Just keep an eye on the solo lanes and the Hunter specifically. Both of them with a 2-level lead now. BaRRa's getting a lot of free time this AMC. That's going to become a problem. And
that transcendence that we kind of expected now to just get that extra power boost right away.
I just don't get why it's there, then, the Wingblade. Why is it so early? Yeah. I can understand the pickup of it. You know, it's definitely a situational item that comes in handy a lot of the time. But it's your first item you buy after boots.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but... Yeah. I mean,
was it a misbuy?
No, definitely not.
Change of build? No, it wouldn't be a change of build either.
No, he definitely wouldn't have misbought that.
I don't know.
There's no way.
I've made excuses for players before and got off, and they've gone, yeah, I did misbuy. Venenu, actually, thinking about it. He was the last one to do that to me with one of the masks.
Oh, a Rangda's mask or a Bumba's?
Bombas.
How do you misbuy in a whole new tree? That's why I don't think it can be a misbuy. Like, you misbuy something in the same tree, sure, I'll buy it. Like the one time that...
they look kind of similar.
Dimmy, I think, bought BaRRaCCuDDa's shield on King Arthur instead of Glad shield.
No, he knows he's doing. It's Dimmy. Don't. How dare you?
And then he sold it.
Two-time world champion.
And then he sold it and bought Glad shield.
He's a 2-time world champion. He's
well, I did the same thing on the cast. I was like, well, you know, he's got a cleave, so maybe it'll work and all this kind of stuff. And that was not the case. No, he just sold it right away.
Just like picks and bans at Worlds all over again, isn't it? Here we go.
But that one makes sense to me. It's in the same tree, you know? You can't misbuy out of a whole new item tree.
I don't think either team's really going to come away with this too happy overall today. I think Trifecta definitely the ones with more of a boom, so to speak, with how this set's gone. The fact that they're a newer team with a mix of regions that are coming together with their own strategies and techniques, sure. But SSG, on the other hand, established team, rough end to the year last year, coming into this year, it's looking rough again with already an 0-2 situation. It could be staring down the barrel of an 0-3 here.
A little bit, but I mean they're still in this game and they still have a slight lead. And you're right to highlight the experience lead on the side lanes because it's not shrinking by any stretch. It's only growing, it seems like, for both BaRRaCCuDDa and Aquarius. And as long as Aqua comes in, Aqua's got to come in and affect this next Fury fight. Looks like it's going to be a Primal Fury. he needs to be here for this engagement and needs to be patient on where that Geb shield is going before he starts to engage.
I mean, the damage of the solo lane has already technically been done now. 0-2 down for Ducky, as you said, and 2-level lead. But the tower being down means that, well, worst case scenario, if he does rotate, he loses his tier 1 in response, which just evens up the lane there and hopes to put pressure on the duo side of the map.
Right, but you really want to, you don't mind losing a tier 1 tower in solo at this point of the game. You're totally fine rotating and losing it in order to get pressure in duo, as you mentioned, or getting the Primal Fury and winning the fight. And this Fenrir pick is so good against Puch and Hachiman. How do they stop you from brutalizing?
See, this is smart. Spacestation gonna, well, Trifecta gonna let Spacestation do the work for them at the Fury and then get it at the end, right?
Did it last time.
Here we go. Wowy going in for the steal after the fact. Fury reset, or is it? It's still alive and leashed back. Spacestation Gaming get the Primal Fury. The fight after the fact could be a different story. Wowy got a very big shield over the Eonic there just at the right time, and that means that andinster won't find the kill he was after with the help of the NuWa. But Aquarius has picked up Ducky. It's a tanky target on the front line here. No Eagles Rally available, and Trifecta may be a casualty here. Sorry, Trifecta Ducky will be a casualty for Trifecta as they do end up just leaving him alone.
Aqua still hunting though. Eonic's gonna have shield up, so doubt he's able to get this easily. Shield is there, but no relics available for Wowy. The fact that he missed that Unchained means it won't be coming up.
But look at the rest of the team of Spacestation Gaming. Left-hand side, BaRRaCCuDDa's like, yes, give me that tier 1. Rest of Spacestation in mid are like, come on, let's try and barrel down for the tier 1 in mid as well. In the end, it's Weekend versus Aquarius in the jungle. Aquarius with a 2-level lead over the enemy jungler for the time being.
Oh, brutalized mid, got stunned mid brutalized, so it looks like he kind of shimmies forward a little bit, but
it's hacking.
Oh yeah, that too. Almost forgot.
I think I'm just gonna say any play that looks crazy now is just hack.
I don't think that's a good bit, Graham.
Why?
Like on the, it's just like not.
I'd never do it with online play because we can't see them.
Right.
But I can walk over there and check.
Right, but it's.
I should have probably done that with Weekend a minute ago.
All right, here's the deal. I'm gonna lay it out here. It's not that funny. It's just, that's why it's a bad bit. I'm sorry, Graham.
That's okay.
I had to tell it to you straight.
It's okay. We all fail sometimes. Just you fail more often than not, most of it. So it makes a nice turnaround.
You lashing
I
out
know
here
how
makes
this
sense.
feels
Yep.
now.
I knew I was ready for it.
Is this what it feels like to be wrong?
Yeah. Yes, I knew this was coming, and it isn't hurting me.
Okay. This cast is hurting me. 5-5, 20 minutes in, and the game no sign of being done yet. These sets getting longer and longer as the season progresses, but it's all more meta than anything else in terms of the picks and bans, and they will progress consistently. We didn't start the set with a NuWa. We're going to end one with one.
Yeah, it's not. Most of the games this set haven't been particularly long. It's really just that game 2 that went 50 minutes that has kind of made it feel that way. A lot of early game pressure has been really relevant in this set, despite the changes to duo lane and the invades.
BaRRaCCuDDa still has andinster on this left-hand side, just in case a rotation does come through, which is coming from Eonic now. Straight away, though, he has to fall back. Eonic level 13 to the level 19 of BaRRaCCuDDa. I only say that because that is a frontline support that's going to have to deal with that Hunter at some point. It's not a place you really want to be. Tier 1 tower goes down for Spacestation Gaming in mid, though. Pressure on the left-hand side. What?
You really don't want to be there.
Oh, and that's supposed to be funny?
Yeah, that was good. That
really?
was much
a pun
funnier.
is comedy?
Yes.
Is this the level we're at?
Sometimes.
You've been hanging around with Polar Bear Mike that much?
No, he doesn't say puns at all.
Nobody likes them. I know he does.
Does he?
Ducky will take a tier 1 tower to answer back the one Aquarius got a little bit earlier on. But Spacestation Gaming are kind of just moving around the map as they see fit so far.
Yeah, I want to see Space Station start to group like they were doing in game 1 and for a little bit there in game 4 as well, where they group up and start pushing down towers, because BaRRa just got a big power spike and finishing off his Runeforged Hammer, which means anytime he drops down that honey, he's doing a lot of damage to them. I wonder, that probably applies to those who are in Fenrir's mouth as well, right? If they're affected by crowd control, they're grabbed. I imagine that counts.
I don't know. I think it should.
I think it should.
But I'm not sure.
Me neither, but
Off
I'm
the top of
saying...
my- Fenrir is such a weird god, though,
It
for
is.
like weird mechanics that are involved in him, and he's had some changes over time because of that, but he is one that I'm not sure. He may affect it. Fire Giant, though, leashed by Space Station for a minute. They are getting very confident with how this game's going, and they've actually found a pick. Potentially onto Ducky. Big shield from Eonic, though, but it won't be enough to keep him alive. The up-down's there with the Eagles rally, but the poison was already on, and he's dead. Eonic, soon to follow.
But Weekend up in the sky, good damage, good knockup as well. BaRRaCCuDDa and Aqua cut down simultaneously, and as they're just able to get away, but Venenu snuck in there and took out Wowy himself.
Not a terrible situation for Trifecta. They've been on the back foot for a moment or two, not really had a say in things. But that fight ends up at least evening out for the most part. We can get in a bit of farm. Same could be said for Lasbra staying alive. And only 3 members of Spacestation means they can't look at the Fire Giant themselves.
Surprised it took Eonic so long to shield Ducky. I mean, they weren't particularly close together, but he seemed to be pretty far back still. If he would have rolled up a little bit, maybe would have been able to save his solo laner a bit earlier.
Look how close those damage numbers were between those two teams in that engagement too. About 200 difference between them. Blink from Andy though. And Lasbra's going to have to use his beads. He got his beads off, but the shining metal was enough to bring him down.
Yeah, it's one of those paths that andinster is always going to sit in and try and look for you. His Aegis not available either, so now Lasbra incredibly vulnerable on the respawn, and that might be enough to set up Space Station for a good Gold Fury pull. But look at this. Looks like Weekend steals away the speed buff yet again.
Well, is it really that important at this stage of the game?
It doesn't hurt you. But
Sense of
I'd
dominance,
rather,
right?
I'd rather get the enemy mid laner's beads and kill him than have a speed buff, that's for sure.
Gold Fury spawned now. Spacestation Gaming have an opportunity to do this, especially with Lasbra being dead after a little engagement in mid. I think the worst thing about that death in mid for Lasbra just there was the fact that beads were used too, and that's going to potentially come back to haunt them around the next Fire Giant fight.
Exactly. That makes him so much more vulnerable for an extended period of time, and now you're putting a lot more pressure on Eonic to find the right shield on the right person. Can't shield Lasbra too early or else Ducky gets ulted, but if I shield Ducky when he gets ulted, now Lasbra's dead to rights. It's difficult. That's the support life.
I am looking at Weekend though. 6-0 and 1 in this game, involved in every kill Trifecta's got, and that last fight was absolutely huge. It's been a quiet playing well for Weekend, right? He's not had a lot of gank opportunities to find a pick, but when he's got into the fray and had an opportunity, he's found wins.
Yes, he has. He's played well in those opportunities for sure, and Trifecta's going to need some more of that so far this game. I'm looking for Wowy to do a little bit more for me in this game. I mean, he's been bullied pretty consistently in lane. That's what AMC does to you, so it's pretty understandable. But at the same time, now that you're into the late game, you've got 4 items. You need to start making something happen in these fights because they desperately need his damage. They're just low on the player damage.
Well, as it stands now, left on the lane is kind of evenly positioned in terms of minions. Same can be said for mid. A little bit of pressure for Space Station, if anything. The grouping around the Fire Giant has begun, but Trifecta are very far back at the moment at their tier 2, allowing Space Station Gaming to get comfortable because they still have the Ratatoskr that just did the same thing in the last team fight.
Right. Weekend can be very patient, get extra farm. That's why he's level 20, because he's been split pushing a lot, as he's very good at doing, recognizing when a fight is over. He's really good about going to get that farm later on so that he can stay relevant in the later stages of the game. But I wonder if Space Station should just not worry too much about Fire Giant. They've got 1 Primal Fury, I believe. I don't know that they've got the damage to bring it down, especially now that it's about to tick over to the Enhanced Virgin. Maybe going closer and getting the tier 2 towers.
Blink from Eonic hits through with the Cataclysm, Weekend to the sky as well. Eagle's Rally does connect on the backside onto Venenu, and he won't get away from the damage from 3 members of Space Station were grouped up in mid, and they just hung around too long, allowed Trifecta to collapse from all angles. Caught with the pants down. Jeff will get away for now, but the damage has been done. Aquarius and Venenu both dead, and Jeff soon to follow.
Beautiful blink engaged by Eonic, man. That's the Geb dream, right? Into it. I mean, you find
you can't ask
people.
for all stat there, and nobody else around.
Yeah, not the play for Space Station Gaming, and BaRRa should just give this up. There's no chance he gets in there and steals this away.
I mean, Serqet is in the mid lane, but he's going to get jumped on here. Does BaRRaCCuDDa by Weekend. He gets the Stinger into play, but Eonic and Weekend causing problems. Andinster to the rescue, however. Classic BaRRaCCuDDa bait there, my friends.
I suppose so. Eventually, Trifecta gets the Fire Giant, and they at least keep it off of Weekend, as well as getting a shutdown kill onto the jungler. So
that made chat happy.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Weekend died. Chat's happy now. Ugh.
And BaRRaCCuDDa made a play at the same time. That is truly the dream scenario.
There's not much better you can ask for in
yeah,
those situations.
That's really ideal for chat. Really well, I mean, that fight is just won by Eonic single-handedly, right? Finding a 3-man Cataclysm in the mid lane. Venenu just never gets a chance to get his Aegis or his ultimate off.
But it's the same situation Space Station Gaming found themselves in again, where they get indecisive. They don't know what the play is supposed to be. They didn't like the Fire Giant call. They got around it, but they didn't want to commit to doing it. So then they rotate towards mid lane, try and push out a lane, and 3 members get picked. The rest of the team were around.
Look, I don't disagree that moving off Fire Giant's the right call there for Space Station, but they just spend too much time dilly-dallying in the mid lane. Looks like you like that one, huh?
No, I hate it.
You don't like dilly-dally?
Dilly-dally.
Yeah, it's a common phrase.
No, it's not. It's an advert. It's become a common phrase because of an advert.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it the dilly bars or
Yes.
something like that?
It's something stupid. I've seen it. I'm just like, oh.
Really?
It's one of those things. Nobody says dilly-dally.
I do. I just did.
You did. Okay.
There it is.
But yeah, talk to me about what the play is then from Trifecta. They've got Fire Jam, but they're not really doing anything with it.
No, not yet. Not yet for Trifecta. They're just going to sit around and wait until Weekend's back up and ready to go. Maybe wait for him to get his Purification Beads online. But they can siege Tier 1 towers without any sort of worry at all. Tier 2s, I expect Spacestation to defend. You don't want to give up too much gold here because Trifecta's still down in gold. Having an Enhanced Fire Giant means that they're still favored to win these fights. But you don't want to give them a ton of gold on top of that.
Well, the one thing about the game with Spacestation having the lead for majorities of this at the time being, the one thing that you've noticed is delaying the game from Trifecta of just waiting around for them to do anything. It's all been to catch up an experience more than anything else, which they were down. That experience deficit has been nullified.
Right.
And now Trifecta always are going to have a window to get more gold.
But these Tier 2s are going to be the question mark. Can they actually siege into them consistently? And
Puch. So
Aquash
yes.
is pretty good. Aquash is pretty good at doing it. It's got to be Aqua who's on top of him trying to get him down, but he doesn't have that much dedicated magical defense. This Oni Hunter's Garb is really, really good because of the damage mitigation, but it's not the most in terms of actual raw
Blink.
stats.
Cataclysm hits onto 2, but Aquarius will Ragnarok in response straight away. Aquarius goes in, picks up Ducky, Bionic Shield straight after the fact. Weaken to the sky, and he comes straight down on BaRRa's head. The bee needs help, and he doesn't get it.
Just too far forward there for BaRRaCCuDDa. Good damage from Venenu,
Nice,
but Ducky finds 2 with that stun. He might have gotten
Should
a bit
have.
isolated, though.
He did, because the rest of his team backed up at the same time. I just saw Amigos Element. That was great, but the rest of the team weren't interested.
It's too low. Eonic a little bit too low on HP, and Ducky realizes it a little bit too late. But good defense from Spacestation. BaRRa, as I mentioned, just too far forward in that position. Remember, he used his Aegis on that pick onto Eonic. I think it was still down during that fight, so he just steps up a little bit too far.
Yannick was trying to get a ward, and now
no.
instead he may get a quick trip back to base. Oh, the shield came up huge, as well as the rollout CC immunity to keep him away from the danger. All the while, though, this is going on, Weekend's got a bit of free time on the tier 2 in the right-hand side.
As I mentioned, Weekend is great at this. He has always had really,
Such a
really good
nuisance.
map presence and forcing you to use a really valuable resource at this point in the game in your upgraded teleport.
Primal Fury started up by Spacestation. Heavy burst damage. Lasbra with the first one in here, with Wowy in behind. Primal Fury's not going down quick, though, and I think the positioning more from Andy and Venenu there, a little bit worried about an engagement without members being there.
BaRRaCCuDDa on the respawn still. You know that Aqua has a teleport to the right-hand side. That means that 3 is the most that you can have in that engagement. So right idea to back it up.
Really not sure where Spacestation need to work on this season now. I'm looking after reviewing the last few sets of against Dignitas and Knights, and you're like, well, you know, superstar team, right? Trifecta are giving them a run for the money here, and Trifecta could take the set away.
They could.
And with how this is going now, I don't know, man. I don't know what needs to change. They've got plenty to potentially work on. They can look back at moments in this game, the whole set, where they had it in their grasp.
They just have these moments of inconsistency. And in Season 6, no matter what team you're playing against, they will crush you for making really bad mistakes. And in that this was Spacestation's game to control up until that 3-man Cataclysm in mid. And since then, Spacestation's battled back pretty well. I think they're definitely still in this one, but they just have to be really, really consistent about not losing in awkward moments, and not making really bad decisions that end up costing them.
Nice choice from Eonic here as well to go for that Magi's Cloak. It will help out the Geb in a lot of situations where the Fenrir may try and pick you up, or the walls come crashing in from a Terra to prevent you from getting those shields or cataclysms off that will cause some problems for Spacestation Gaming. Trifecta, once again, though, go back to what they were doing last time. Sitting at the tier 2 in right-hand lane, letting Spacestation Gaming group up towards them. But this time, Spacestation get a bit more aggressive.
Oh, that was the shield, so
And
Aqua
Ragnarok.
thinks, hey, I'll go in and ult someone, but Ducky has his ult still. You can't just go in and get that for free. So that's an ultimate down now for Aquarius. So he's got plenty of CDR. Blackthorn, Glad Shield, Mantle of Discord. It'll be up sooner rather than later.
Well, this dance around will start to end soon because the big group of minions on the left-hand side for Trifecta here, like 2 waves all grouped up nicely. That could take a tier 2 on its own unless somebody goes back to defend it. You don't want to be giving free gold away at this stage, especially with the final item still being important.
With 55 seconds left on that teleport, Aquarius can't do it safely. Andinster goes to clear mid-wave, but even that is a window where Trifecta takes advantage and takes Pyro.
But the thing is, they can't go that way. If they do, it's giving Trifecta the Fire Giant, right? It's a
Yep.
4v5 situation. And I think Trifecta are aware of that. There's the pings on the tier 2, which will fall very quickly.
Huge Archer wave, and Archer is really good at taking down these towers pretty quickly, but may have been a little short on the melees, so might take another wave or two, but only a matter of time, it looks like, on that left side tier 2.
I knew it was going to go down. I had faith.
It's coming. Eventually.
Wall out from Jeff, looking for a pick on Ducky, but he'll just dash away. It feels like Spacestation is scared of throwing more than trying to win, more than anything else. And Trifecta seems to just know the game plan seems to work the way it did last time, so why change it? Just keep doing the same thing, frustrating Space Station.
Right, and especially Space Station is going to play very passively when Ragnarok is still on cooldown. Now it's back up. They've got a chance to play aggressively again, but you're right, it does seem that Space Station's a little bit frightened to be the engagers. And that's what Geb does to you, right? I mean, it makes your engaged awful. He just neutralizes whatever you want to do right off the bat. I really think that this Geb pick, outside of even the play the Eonic made in mid, just the threat of the pick has done so much in this first Space Station in this one.
Definitely a big difference in terms of player damage in the charts as well. I'm just looking down the roster, and the Hunter difference is a huge screamer for me. 19,000 versus 11,000, I think that is.
Well,
I mean, obviously it is AMC in the laning phase, but
does a lot of honey in everywhere and gets a lot of poke damage. But you're right, BaRRa's done a lot this game with player damage. He shreds these tanks pretty well, and that's why Ducky's actually building some more physical defense right now. It's probably going to be a mid-Guardian male, I'd imagine.
could well be. Spacestation Gaming, though, grouping up on the right-hand side, going to try and backdoor this tier 2 tower. It's not alive, there is minions there with them. But Weekend at the same time did find one in the mid lane. So overall, Trifecta still winning the battle of towers, so to speak, at the moment. And it will at least force somebody from Spacestation back from base. Weekend's getting a lot of damage off on that Phoenix, right?
Shouldn't be able to get it, though. Aqua's back, and he has teleport back up, but the fight's going on by the Fire Giant. JeffHindla uses that Terra's Earth and Fury, rather, and just gets exploded.
BaRRaCCuDDa was trying to burst down Eonic, but Eonic's going to slip the net just about. Aquarius does teleport in and looks to turn around and find the collapse. Andy going to jump in too. And the back line, did he just blink for that, Andy? I think he did, and he actually found the ult on Ducky too.
And Ducky's dead to rights. Weekend has abandoned this fight and gone for the mid Phoenix, which is a good call for him, as BaRRa doing anything but abandoning the fight. Whoa. Forces one out with the swarm, turns and cuts down the other with the stingers.
But they do lose a Phoenix at the same time. Middle Phoenix does fall down. Trifecta end up with a small win for the time being, at least, unless Space Station can find this Phoenix on the right-hand side.
They should be able to get it with NuWa minions, and this is where the NuWa comes in clutch. They can't get this with any other mid laner, I don't think. A traditional mage mid laner, I should say. But trading mid Phoenix for right Phoenix seems about even to me. I think I'd rather have mid Phoenix down than right Phoenix because it's so much easier to defend fire and fire waves simultaneously with right Phoenix, but still a window opened by Space Station.
Yeah, I don't know, was it opened by Space Station? Was it more open by Trifecta? It felt like it was Trifecta that forced those fights a little bit more so they could get pressure in mid Phoenix, but Space Station answered back well and then found the turnaround play.
Just a lot of investment into Jeff.
Yeah.
That's that was the problem potentially. Is
Andy just saw
and
it
getting
weaken
really
there.
low, and this Fire Giant is just crushing him. He's almost dead to the dot. Aegis didn't do anything, but
Where's your soul gem now, friend? Not enough in that
wait, that soul
situation.
gem heal actually saved him. It actually did.
It did, and then the Aegis after the fight also. But at the moment, Trifecta are holding on to this game. It's all square in terms of gold. The Fire Giant being around no one's waist right now, and two Phoenixes being down, two tier 2 towers main. It really is all square.
Two very evenly matched teams, and I think
That's worrying, though.
that is maybe, but maybe Trifecta's just. I mean, remember that was still very early on for this team. They hadn't got to practice a lot together yet. They were up against a team in SK Gaming who exploits you really, really well if you aren't ready for them. I think that it's probably a combination of SSG should be a bit worried, but also the Trifecta is better than I think a lot of people gave him credit for.
Talk about giving teams a bit more credit. Luminosity and SK Gaming are about to follow this set straight afterwards. We'll get to see SK Gaming take on Luminosity, the team that was a little bit surprised after the first week of play at how well they did perform that LG roster. But SK are definitely a beast that will be ready for them this week, as you were just talking about their early game.
SK is just one of those teams that if you aren't ready 100% to fight early, they're gonna steamroll you, and they're gonna make it look really easy. Not that they can't win late. I think SK is a really well-rounded team, but they execute early game very well. And so I'm excited to see how Luminosity is prepped for that. I hope they've prepped for that.
Pyromancer goes down for Spacestation Gaming, just gives him a little bit more mobility out of base, which can be impactful at this stage of the game, to be fair. It's not really spoken about too much, but when there's not much going on, you start speaking about it.
Yeah, you can definitely utilize that, especially when you're teleporting out of base. That's really nice for Aquarius.
Also, just to defend that middle Phoenix again, potentially, in these engagements that could follow. Both Phoenixes will spawn around relatively the same time. Technically, Space Stations will come up ever so slightly earlier now, so Trifecta just have to be aware of that. And Trifecta don't have the same positioning they once did on this right-hand side anymore. The Tier 2 tower being gone and the Phoenix makes it a bit trickier to sit around the area that they keep doing now and feel safe about it.
And Weekend having no beads for a little bit, those got caught by JeffHindla's great wall, means that he can't really play particularly aggressively until BaRRaCCuDDa is in a much worse spot. But BaRRaCCuDDa's been positioning very well this game. This AMC pick has been impressive, and I love the build as well. I mean, now that it's completely done, he's doing a lot of damage, has some extra health from that Runeforge and from the Winged Blade, and ends up just slowing the opposition and crushing them with autos.
It's at this sort of stage of the game that you wish you had an ultimate that could transport your whole team across, over the walls, and into the base.
Was Giannis picked your band?
I was thinking Horus. There's two of them now.
There's two of them.
It's even you could technically transport your team with Horus there and have Giannis ult your back.
You could. That'd be sweet.
Think about that.
Wait,
way.
no. Here's what you do. Okay, you have the Horus, like by blue buff. You Giannis ult your whole team to him as he's already channeling.
You yeet him.
Well, no. You bring your whole team to him with Giannis portals, and then he's already in the air and he insta dunks you all straight into fire.
That'd be pretty cool. Could be pretty down for that. This group up on the right-hand side from Trifecta, though, they pushed out the fire minions because their Phoenix has respawned, and they're trying to pressure the tier 2 a little bit, especially when Aquarius was in the mid lane. But Aquarius is now rotated around the back and catches Weaken. Weaken's Magi's Cloak on cooldown already. Actually uses the ult and gets the shield from Eonic too. Turns it around, and Wowy gets credit for the kill on Aquarius. Next up on the list to go in is andinster, and he's forced out to the left-hand side at half health. But Weaken gives chase with the blink, but straight away Andy ults in response.
Man, really good ult from Jeff, but there's just no follow-up after the fact. And Aqua just goes way too deep. Again on this Fenrir, he tried to ult Weaken, knew his beads might be up, might be on cooldown. They were up, but it doesn't matter anyways because he just channeled that ultimate in a good empty the crypts by Lasbra, shut down that aggression very, very quickly. Just a whole lot to invest onto the solo laner, and Jeff's Earth and Fury after the fact really brought the rest of Trifecta running.
In the grand scheme of things, though, a whole lot of nothing, because nobody, apart from Aquarius, falls. Everyone's ultimate on cooldown, relics used. It's going to be a situation where they wait for him to respawn again, do Spacestation Gaming. And I don't know if Trifecta will feel confident going for the fight yet. They've not looked like it so far with what they did after the fact.
No, and I can't remember how many, if they have a Primal Fury or not. It's starting to bleed together, man. 5 games, lots of Furies going down. I'm having trouble keeping it straight.
And I was going to say about the 5-game situation, like this is something that's going to happen throughout the year for these teams, and teams that go the distance a little bit more often than others may get a bit more practice and experience at dealing with the stamina issues that are involved.
It's hard. It is not easy to play 5 games of Smite back to back to back to back.
Yeah, it is. You just hit play again.
Well, in this one, it's like you have to make a custom room. It's like
so much effort.
Yeah, it really does add a lot to it.
Someone makes the custom game wrong, you start level 3 or something, right?
Yeah, you got to restart. It's a whole ordeal.
2k gold or random gods. Put it on the assault map. They always put it on the assault map.
They do?
It always seems to go to assault map for some reason over Conquest.
Well, now it's the new map, so it's cool looking.
It is. I don't like the heals. I don't want the heals.
We just nerfed them.
Yeah, they still suck. I'm allowed an opinion.
You are allowed an opinion.
And it's right.
That's not how opinions work.
I don't know. With a lot of casters that seem to think otherwise.
I'm the #1 that thinks that.
You really are. I wasn't going to point that at you, but you know, if you want to take it on the chin like that, no problem. No problem.
I'll stand up for myself. Well, I'm kind of like...
You sat down right now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
41 minutes in. 5th game. Both teams tied at 2-2, and me and Ryan want to shoot ourselves because we want something to happen.
You know, I was going to say speak for yourself, but I do want something to happen.
When you giggle, I know I've always got you there. Where I'm like, okay, yeah.
I just really didn't expect that. That really caught me by surprise. I'll give it to you.
Ducky gets hit by the walls, and straight after Aquarius jumps on. But you can see how little damage that really did. In the
well, he has
grand scheme of
Lono's
things.
mask now.
Yep.
He sold his boots for a Lono's mask. So now Aqua's damage is pretty much irrelevant in these fights, as he's just there to CC and harass the opposition.
Fenrir goes through that change just like a Thor to an extent, right? Early game aggressor, picker, but then late game you're looking to be more of a setup artist than anything else?
Exactly, because you can't afford to brutalize in the late game. You just die by sticking on someone that long.
Oh. Weaken versus andinster, back at it again, but not much to do about nothing for the time being, as Andy will back away.
Weaken did use Blink there, so
good
at
catch.
least something expended.
Left-hand side, though, look at that grouping of minions. It's going to be Andy that gets there first of all, though. It really is just, what are the junglers doing while everybody else stands around the fire giant?
Yeah, it's they get to take the tour of the world a little bit, you know, see the sights. Everyone else terrified of enhanced fire giant. He is pretty spooky, to be fair.
Is it worth pushing for somewhere else than the fire giant? Hold that thought, though. Have they pulled this? They have. FG has been pulled. Ducky going to be the initiator for this one now as Wowy and Lasbra whack away. Weaken on the rotation too. I think they just caught Andy on the left-hand side is the reason why. But Aquarius and Jeff were hanging around, waiting for the right moment. They're going to dash in. Root connects on Lasbra. Jeff fully committing to this one. He got the ultimate off, but nobody else from the rest of the team was in range to support.
But
still
lots of
Trifecta
relics.
on the run.
Lots of relics. No beads now for Wowy. He gets the Geb shield right away and the Aegis, but Andy still has last breath. He gets knocked up by Weaken, but Andy's still alive. Wowy not quite as
Aquarius,
much.
though.
BaRRa got him.
BaRRa's getting kills, but Aquarius is doing work on the backline to keep the others at bay. The play from Jeff is actually paid
huge.
off here.
That's
They
game.
were trying to work out how they were going to break this base and force this comp to fall back. And the best way to do it is send the one-man army, JeffHindla, and to burn as many relics as possible, and then go, okay, boys, GG, well played. I'll see you next week.
Jeff immediately just takes his hands off the keyboard, says, you guys got
Job
it from
done.
here. I mean, 45 seconds on the next member. This one is over. Spacestation Gaming able to take it in 5, and you're right, man. JeffHindla with just a great play to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
It's one of those plays that on paper you would look at and go, what is Jeff on? Why is he doing this? And for moments I thought that was going to be the case. But the problem is that so many relics were used. They were so scared of that Terra initiation that they just ran it down right.
It was perfect. I mean, he got beads and Aegis, I think, from Lasbra, and the Puch ultimate. He got Wowy's beads, he got a shell use, I'm pretty sure, and he Terra's blessing the entire enemy team and forced them back. Sometimes you just gotta force it, and JeffHindla does it that game. He had a great game 4, and he wins the game for Spacestation in game 5.
That is probably one of the weirdest sets of Smite I've casted in a while. In terms of back and forth encounters,
There
mistakes
were stomps,
being made,
there were close games.
plays that should not have worked out. Like that play from Jeff should not have worked out, but it did.
It did. What can you say? I mean, you got a NuWa 50 minutes in. She's going to do a lot of damage, right? I mean, it's basically unavoidable from that point, but you just got to have someone get him low enough, and JeffHindla decided he didn't want to be in that set anymore.
It really looked, you can see the tail of the tape of the
Jeff's
cameras
like,
of these faces.
this game is over one way or another. I am inting.
Space Station is relief on their face of, gosh, we got through that. Whereas Trifecta went, what just happened at the end of the game there? What did we do wrong?
Jeff was like, this game is over. Either we're losing some inting, or they're losing because I'm getting enough.
It looked
that's
like
the way
Jeff.
it worked.
It looked like Jeff hit F6. Everyone pressed F7, and he went, "I'm gonna ult and just run at them. And if people don't come with me, whatever. I don't care anymore."
You know, I dare say that was almost Awesome Jake-esque, where he just goes in and dies, and it works out perfectly somehow. That's what it reminded me of. I don't know.
Big brain plays. That's what it was. Wowy there, though. Back to the drawing board for them. Had a better performance towards the end of that last game. As Space Station come over to take the congratulation victory lap that they're going to do, and Jeff's going to be like, yep, you all suck.
I don't think Jeff's going to say that at all.
He looked like he did. No.
It definitely did not look like that at all. I can never imagine Jeff saying that to someone in earnest.
No.
He's
he
the
wouldn't.
nicest.
He
I've said this about
is.
JeffHindla
He's
a
too
million
nice.
times. He's the nicest angry man I've ever met, ever. He's always mad, but he's also always nice.
Well, that's one set down, but the Death still has to break it down before we move on to the second set of today.
Thanks a lot there, Hindu Man. Thanks a lot there, Aggro. And as we reflect back at the full 5-game set, really, I think the biggest thing on everybody's minds is just like, well, they did it. Space Station Gaming find their victory. It did take 5 games, and maybe just the all-out will of BaRRaCCuDDa and the boys, but they got there.
It definitely felt a lot like BaRRaCCuDDa in games 4 and 5 just said, okay, I'm not taking this L today. Not the overall set loss at least. They've got to walk away with something to show for it in the standings, and they found it here in game 5 with that defeat over Trifecta. But I definitely do feel as though andinster really, it's kind of like somebody just hit him with like defibrillators or something. He just jumped back to life. And I think that a lot of that was because of the fact that BaRRa alleviated so much pressure from the jungler's shoulders by just doing the thing himself. He was just putting out so much damage on this Muzen Cobb. His positioning, while not necessarily perfect every single time, but BaRRa was definitely mindful of his spacing, which is a large part of the reason why he was able to just cast from the back line and have that immediate game impact.
And again, you know, I've consistently put the spotlight on Aquarius. I think that Aquarius created a lot of space in order for John to be able to go ahead and find the victory and play the way that he did. You were talking about his positioning, sometimes not perfect, but aggressive, a gamble, if you will. And the gamble certainly paid off. 8-2-8 for the Muzen Cobb pilot here.
And that game really did feel like a 50-50 in a lot of those engagements.
Oh, yeah.
It was tough to tell who was actually going to wind up coming up on top. But I do think that some of the excitedness kind of got to Ducky, at least on Trifecta. I felt like at times he would Eagles rally in after some of the action had already dissipated, and so that just immediately made him the central target focus for Space Station. And engagements where Trifecta would find a pick and then would be looking for the reset were kind of just turned off because it would be Space Station finding that response onto Ducky, and then they were able to try and look for the counter collapse.
Looking here at the stats, I think that Weekend had continued the trend. Both Space Station and Trifecta, I think, won from the right side of the map, meaning the jungle and the solo lane. These guys were the enablers. Aquarius and andinster, Ducky and Weekend. When these two players are strong for their team generally found the win. BaRRaCCuDDa, of course, being handed the proverbial ball here in the 4 and 5 to go ahead and win the game. When I see game number 5, Weekend was still there, 9-2-4, but Ducky left a little bit to be desired. And I think that ultimately that's really what it came down to in this matchup was the jungle solo, whether you want to call it synergy or prowess or whatnot, the presence on the map, it was felt a number of times, and here we just didn't see it out of Trifecta, and I think that's why they wind up with the L.
So a little bit of a heartbreaking defeat there for Trifecta and for the fans back at home. But I do think that there's a lot of promise still to be had with this team. They seem to be getting better every single set that they come out and play. So really excited to see how they continue to progress throughout the season.
My biggest thing is Ducky. Now here in game number 5, didn't exactly bring it like we were talking about, but with respect to the rest of the set, as I said, this has been a really strong look for him, especially in juxtaposition to what we've seen in the past. So I think that if you're a Trifecta fan at home, you're seeing the great Lasbra experiment in the middle lane, you're seeing Ducky over there on the short side, and things are looking kind of up. There's some positivity here.
And the same could be said for Space Station, who I'm sure are just as relieved as they looked in all of their player camps to finally be bringing home a set win today.
Yeah, I think sigh of relief is absolutely the direction that everybody's thinking right now. They were down 0 wins successfully, and now certainly turned that around. We got a couple of people standing by in the post game. JeffHindla standing by.
We're here live with Space Station Gaming. Congratulations, boys, on your victory. Interesting set. Can you give me your explanation of how that whole set went down, boys?
It was a mess. That was a lot, right? Game 1 super solid, 2-3 really rough, and it was just it was not an easy set for sure.
Jeff, talk to me about that last fight in game 5. You kind of just ran in there, and it felt like you were ending the game one way or the other.
Oh, I ended the game, 100%. No, we called that we were trying to pick Puch for like 30 minutes, right? Some ridiculous number. We were trying to pick Puch for a really long time. We put Andy over a little far away, so this way they would push in because they just wouldn't. Puch was just sitting behind, what used to be their tier 2 tower. So we just never even engage range. So once he stepped up and I got an opportunity for it, I was just taking it. I died, but I'm gonna live for a while, and I'm just gonna pop everything in that time.
Then quick question about the NuWa pick as well. Like, we've not seen too much NuWa lately. It was very early in the draft. What was the decisions behind that?
There wasn't anything like super priority that we wanted. We kind of wanted to hold our picks, so we just picked the NuWa because versus like Puch, it kind of like matches what he can do in like late game team fights, even though every single time we were trying to go on stuff, the shell was kind of just mitigating it. But every single time we were trying to fight without their shell being up, but they were playing very, very passive. So, you know, we got a lot of work to do in cleaning up on a lot of stuff for sure.
This felt like it was going to be a pretty big set for you guys. You know, you started off 0-2. You really want to get the set win. Are you happy with the outcome, even though it took 5?
No.
Absolutely happy with the win.
Yeah. Happy with the win, not how we played.
Yeah.
Fair
We
enough.
have a lot to work on.
Congratulations, guys. You're on the board in the W column. Well deserved.
Woohoo.
Thank you.
The Smite Pro League, brought to you by Skillshare. Hi-Res Studios. Titanfall. INAP. Steel Series. And Respawn.